This is just to save this information about Joe Biden.
This was a conspiracy theory for years that the government kept denying. And the main journalist, Gary Webb, who tried to expose the truth, was suppressed, slandered by the mainstream media, and eventually died of a suspicious suicide when he shot himself in the head multiple times.
My name's Gary Webb. I am an investigative journalist. I've been an investigative journalist for about 25 years for daily newspapers. And in 1996, I wrote a series of stories entitled Dark Alliance, which was about CIA involvement in drug trafficking. The cocaine that was being sold in those neighborhoods was coming from mainly one source. And this one source was being used to finance a guerrilla war in Central America.
Webb was eventually vindicated in 1998 when the CIA Inspector General report revealed that for more than a decade the agency had covered up a business relationship it had with Nicaraguan drug dealers, and they found payments to drug traffickers from the U.S. State Department. Perhaps I should also mention that Biden, while pushing the war on drugs, specifically crack at this time, was also on the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, which reviewed DEA reports on the illicit drug trade, which means he should have been completely aware of the corruption happening by his CIA allies. All I'm saying is that mysterious bricks showing up to bait black communities into committing crimes is not a new thing.
Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them. They are beyond the pale, many of those people. Beyond the pale. And it's a sad commentary on society. We have no choice but to take them out of society.
Talking about black
So now
people.
you have a large portion of the black community already dealing with poverty, and now many of them are addicted to crack thanks to the CIA. Then Biden in 1984 shapes the Comprehensive Crime Control Act, which curtailed access to bail, eliminated parole, created a sentencing commission, and then expanded civil asset forfeiture. Biden then helped lead the push for the Anti-Drug Abuse Act of 1986, which lengthened sentences for many offenses, as well as created the infamous 100-to-1 crack versus cocaine sentencing disparity, which of course led to a disproportionate amount of black people being incarcerated compared to white people.
The president says he wants to wage a war on drugs, but if that's true, what we need is another D-Day, not another Vietnam, not another limited war fought on the cheap and destined for stalemate and human tragedy.
These and other laws contributed to the explosion of federal imprisonment from 24,000 locked up in 1980 to almost 216,000 in 2013. And that's not even the last of it. Joe Biden also wrote the 1994 crime bill that is often blamed on Bill Clinton, which authorized more than $300 million of spending, leading to a boom in for-profit prisons and mass incarceration. Don't just take my word for it, take Biden's word for it.
I had spent years writing what became known as the Biden crime bill. The Biden crime bill. The Biden crime bill. Democrat. Biden crime bill. The Biden crime bill.
Biden's 1994 crime bill, while implementing sweeping gun control, also helped fuel mass incarceration with
gun
financial
control
incentives
too,
to keep
nice.
people behind bars.
The Biden crime bill. The Biden crime bill.
The Biden crime bill is before us. The truth is, every major crime bill since 1976 that's come out of this Congress, every minor crime bill, has had the name of the Democratic senator from the state of Delaware, Joe Biden, on that bill. Change the law so that if you are arrested,
Why would anyone vote for this guy?
under our forfeiture statute, you can, the government can, take everything you own.
Steal everything you own.
From your car to your house, your bank account.
Back when Bill Clinton's crime bill passed, Joe Biden was such an outspoken supporter, he said, quote, "I'd like to be running and have someone use the crime bill against me."
Oh,
Biden also bragged about
maybe
creating
Trump
the
will do that.
Patriot Act after 9/11. So just to clarify, presidential candidate Joe Biden, that Democrats are going to vote for because they are mad at the police, is largely responsible for the modern American police state that they are supposedly all against. Isn't it a little bit ironic, don't you think? His policies only exacerbated the issues of black incarceration and further destroyed the family unit. There's a very clear graph here of that happening. And this had a very strong echo and is still at the root of many issues today. Only 29% of African Americans are married compared to 48% of all Americans. African Americans now have the highest rates of non-marital births in America, sitting around 77%. and over 57% of them have absent biological fathers. This often leaves children without a consistent male influence. The kids go to school where the vast majority of the teachers are female, and without a positive male role model to help shape their identity, these adolescents are forced to fill in the gaps of how men should behave without having first-hand demonstration. They may tend to lean on more negative male figures to emulate, and there is a large body of literature that shows that children from fatherless households are dramatically more likely to take their own life, to drop out of school, to become homeless and commit crimes including gang involvement, drug abuse, and sexual crime. Young men without a strong male role model are 67% more likely to be unemployed than their counterparts, and 50% more likely to abuse drugs, as well as more likely to turn to crime when unemployed. Interestingly, youth in father-only households display no difference in the rate of incarceration from children coming from that of two-parent households. Statistically, the more time a child spends with a strong male figure or their father, the less likely they are to go down this path. Meaning that toxic masculinity is not the problem. It's the lack of masculinity in the first place. Fatherless children are more likely to get divorced, and girls are 4 times as likely to get pregnant as teenagers, restarting the same cycle. Now, this doesn't mean that if you don't or didn't have a strong male role model that this is inevitable. It just statistically puts you at a higher risk for obstacles in life.